producer, great friend, Gregory Eaton. Greg is, hello, Greg. How are you, man? Welcome to the Mind of Miles.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're well aware of the Mind of Miles because we've been doing this together for 8 or 9 years. Greg was
Yes.
my video guy at CSU. Greg, quickly, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
You know, you had Goodman on for your first show, so all you did was swap out one Massachusetts guy for another. So I'm not sure if it was much of an upgrade, but
It's not.
yeah, right. I've been with Coach Miles for 8 years, one at Colorado State, and then 7 years at Nebraska. And I wear a hat these days because my hairline, since working for Coach, has really gone downhill. So
It used to be a good, clean divot with a wedge.
it was really good, and
Yeah,
just
it's going back.
I got to wear the ball cap now to cover it up. So
That's
but,
okay.
Really
Hey,
looking forward to this.
the great part about you're just more handsome than Jeff Goodman anyway. But Greg is a great basketball mind and a good friend, and on our staff for a long time, in various capacities. Latest director of basketball operations. I'm trying a virtual deal here tonight. I see you've got the Lord of the Rings on.
I do. It was always my preseason.
Are you one of those nuts? Are you a nut job?
You could probably say that. I mean, you work with me long enough, and I think everybody close enough to me knows that.
Greg's got his own parody Twitter account, not tweeting Greg Eaton.
Yes.
Yeah. Do we know who runs that yet?
We don't know. We know where he sits, but we don't know who it is. We have an idea of where he sits in the stands.
In the stands? Generally just a bad person, it sounds like.
He is a bad person. But, all those guys are.
Well, maybe I've been missing watching too many politics and all the news shows, but I have no doubt we have the world's greatest podcast ever in the whole world, in the entire world. We have the best people. We have the best guests. It's just done better than, like I could tape this in a bathroom and nobody would know. And that's how good this podcast is.
Yes.
It's the best ever. So I want our fans to know how happy we are. We had Fran McCaffrey on as our first guest, and that was a lot of fun. We talked about a lot of stuff. Greg, you probably remember me telling you this one, a story I didn't include with Fran, but when I came home from my first Big Ten meeting, of course, Fran and I talked about some of the brouhaha stuff going on, but also when I was fortunate enough to be the coach at North Dakota State in 2006, we started 4 freshmen and we upset University of Wisconsin. I mean, we had Ben Woodside, Michael Nelson, Brett Winkleman, Andre Smith, Lucas Moorman. We had all these young guys. I think Tom Lundy, Phil Hahn were all with us, and they were number 13 in the country. It was a huge upset and really put North Dakota State on the national map. The next season, same calendar year, we beat Marquette when they were 8 in the country, and that was Tom Crean. So Bo Ryan and Tom Crean. So my first meeting, at the very beginning of the meeting, I sit down and Bo Ryan's there early. He says, "Hey, Miles, go get me a cup of coffee." And I kind of looked at him, funny, like, what in the hell? Like, okay. And he says, "Hey, if it wasn't for me and Crean, you wouldn't even be in this room. Give me a cup of coffee." And I'm like, cream or sugar? Cream or sugar? What do you say?
Does he like his hot and blonde?
I think so. That's the way I like it.
Yeah.
Like my wife. And and it's good stuff. As we go forward through this, today's guest is Porter Moser, and we get to talk about a lot of stuff. You've watched Porter, that remarkable run for them into the Final Four.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You can't answer. No. You can't just say yes.
No, I was going to go on and just talk about how good of a player. I mean, you said I've served in a variety of roles, with you on staff. And the one summer I was fortunate enough to go on the road, I remember watching Cameron Crutwood play.
Oh, yeah.
And really liking his game. And, when you see a big body, sometimes people aren't attracted to that. And he's just such a skilled player. And they've really been able to build around him and find the pieces to make him thrive and really, like you said, go on a great run and make a name for themselves.
Yeah, he kind of reminds you of those European, like a short, stronger, stockier version of the Gasol brothers, of Vlade Divac, of Jokovic right now.
Yes.
And, just that European big with excellent skill, great timing, excellent passing. He's built his whole offense around. Usually, you build your whole offense around, your point guard or your shooting or your whatever. And it's always interesting when you build your offense around a big that doesn't always play in the low post, and it really changes the whole schematic of the game to me.
And that's exactly right. I mean, a lot of the Valley is built guard oriented, and I mean that's why they're so much difficult to scout, to prep for, and I mean, he's been phenomenal there, and they've gotten great pieces to support him.
Yeah, we're going to have a couple other guys in the Valley in too. Ben Jacobson's a guy I've known for a long time and a coach I really respect. And, of course, Kyle Green is his assistant coach, and A.J. Green is one of the best point guards in the country. We're going to get all those guys on in the same room and chop it up here in a few weeks. So one of our excellent guests that we've got coming up. And one thing I think, folks, what you'll like about this interview with Porter is you'll see his energy, his passion, and he's really rooted in goodness and all about the right things. He's got his own book out called All In, which I'm going to promote for him. He was supposed to send me an autographed copy, but then he claimed I was a cheapskate because I wouldn't spend $14 on it. But, I've got a book too. Nebraska ball, I don't see any help on it, but it's available on Amazon, but it's hardcover, so it's a little more expensive.
Did Porter buy that or no? Did you give him a signed copy?
I think I forgot to bring it up, which has always been kind of a tough deal. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to introduce Porter Moser and Loyola and myself talking basketball, Loyola of Chicago, the Ramblers. We talk about a little bit of everything from basketball to Sister Jean to the Final Four run to other jobs. We hope you enjoy the interview. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching Inside the Mind of Miles. I have with me a close personal friend, Porter Moser, head coach at Loyola Chicago. Porter, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate you having me, Tim.
Well, this is the best podcast ever. In all the history of all podcasts, you are on the best podcast ever.
I love how you intro us saying close personal friends. We have been. But then you go ahead and you mispronounce my name. It's Moser, not Mosier.
You know who you are.
I had to start
you know who you are. So was that the Polish version? Is that the Moser?
There's just so many worse things that rhymes with Mosier. It's one of those things, but you nicknames over the years.
Well, that's how close you and I are. I just call you Porter.
I had to bust you right out of the gate.
Yeah, you do. And I like your wife better, Megan, anyway. She's way classier than you. Hey,
alone.
Porter, you are a darling in college basketball. I mean, there's so many things that people love you. They love your energy and your story. And certainly that came to fruition with a Final Four run 2 years ago. Just tell me the enormity of all of that and the feelings and the experience of that Final Four run for you and the Ramblers.
It's hard to sum it all up because there's so many ways I can go and answer that question. One, you can start first with my faith, having gone through what I went through, getting fired, and then being able to reinvent myself and not have that be my story, and to stay positive and with friends and family, and to get the opportunity to coach Loyola, and then much less take a program that was down to the Final Four. So my faith was a huge part of what I was feeling, of the enormity. Then the stage. I mean, it's just, I've always, Tim, I just got my certificate from the NABC. I'm 30 years in the NABC, which just blows my mind. But I remember going from at a young age, I used to go to all the practices and all that when I was going to the Final Fours.
Yeah, the open free practices are always fun, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes the games there were anticlimactic. What I was always just absolutely obsessed with was the Elite Eight game, and to go to the Final Four. And I'd watch the teams get the trophy presented, and I'd watch the confetti to come down. And I just remember going, I can't imagine the pure joy that everyone there is going through right now, being on that stage, knowing that night, like, what are they going to do the next 5 hours?
Yeah.
Like that night they're all, and I was just to sit there, and I still have my shirt that I didn't take to the dry cleaners that has the maroon and gold confetti that came into here when I got doused with water. It like spilled all over my shirt.
Yeah, stained, right?
Yeah, it was just an amazing moment to sit there. The families that we had, like just really close team families, people, and the celebration. Just to think, like, I remember sitting there. We all had these like Final Four hats, and we're sitting there, and I don't know how late it was. We're just sitting there like, like punching each other. We're going to the Final Four. Like, it was just so cool. But then the next day you're right back going, all right, Michigan, we got to play Michigan.
Yeah.
You start getting into mode about who you're playing. And I tell you, when we got to the Final Four, San Antonio, it was just surreal. It couldn't have been a better place to be with San Antonio. And then
San Antonio is one of the best venues
Oh.
just by relation to the hotels and the fans and the river walk. And it's not far from the dome where you play the games.
our hotel sat on the river, and it was like up and down the gondola, the boats of people chanting their teams. And it was, it was really cool. But I tell you, I could talk about all the good things, but it still eats at me. You know, we were up 10 in the second half to play on Monday night.
We're going to get to that later.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So
Are you plugging in my therapist on video on the other? All of a sudden, hey, introducing Porter's therapist
Porter,
to keep him sane.
Porter, would you like to call a lifeline here, please?
Tim's got all surprises for me today.
So tell me, you know, one of the most fascinating stories was Sister Jean. And we would be remiss by not saying, first of all, we know who her favorite coach not coaching is right now, which I believe she did send me a happy birthday message.
She did.
Right? She did. So I screenshotted that, sent it to my family, and they told me I was lying because Porter promised to send me the clip. He didn't send the clip. You know, we're close personal friends.
Well,
Moser,
I was sending it first so you could get forgiveness for some of the things you've said over the years. I mean,
So-
not to help bless you. It was more of a forgiveness message from sister.
and well-deserved on that, touche. But that's a deep story. But I love Sister Jean, and she really does have an active role. This is not a prop. This is not a person that's not involved. She's all in.
So the moment I got the job, I've just finished 9 years at Loyola. When I got the job, I came in my office and there was a manila folder sitting on my desk. One said scheduling. It was like the games I was inheriting. And one, it just said Coach Moser, and I opened it up, and it was a handwritten letter from Sister Dolores Schmidt saying, I'm your team chaplain. Welcome to Loyola, all this. I thought I would include a scouting report from every returning player that you have. So I'm like, no way. Like I knew that my chaplain was a nun in her 90s. And so I'm reading it, and it was like a detailed report. Like what was hilarious is, I'm not going to say the guy's name, but one, she's like, you got to toughen him up. He's really soft. And I'm like reading it. I'm like hysterical. And I hadn't even met her yet then. But she's at every home game. She used to travel to a lot of the local road games. She blesses our guys, takes each hand and gives them a quick blessing before they take the court. And that's how the phenomenon kind of started. Was we beat Miami, and we're running off the floor, and all of a sudden all the guys were hugging her, and all the media people were like, whoa, what's that? What are all these guys hugging this nun in a wheelchair for? And then that's when the story broke. But that was like normal stuff for us.
She is a treasure. And 101?
She just turned 101 in August.
Yeah. When's her birthday?
August 22nd, or 21st or 22nd.
I'm the
A couple days
20th.
before mine.
I'm the 20th, and you are the
24th.
Yeah. So there you go. You guys aren't quite Leos, but all the same, we'll accept you into the August family. So that's awesome.
Hey, Virgos.
My grandmother lived to be 101 and was sharp as a tack till the last day. And when I see Sister Jean, she reminds me of my grandmother, brings up such cool thoughts. What a great story that is. Well, anytime you have success, Porter, you get courted by jobs. And you have been courted by bigger leagues, more money, but you stay at Loyola. Tell me about how that goes through your head and those processes work for you.
Well, I just, I think of a handful of people, my family, the happiness, my team, the guys, am I happy? I had a coach tell me about 8 or 9 years ago, on the reason why he didn't take another job is don't run from happiness. And, but it's not to say I'm not going to take another job. It hasn't been the right time. I love where I'm at. I love the people at Loyola. I love my AD, Steve Watson, I work for. I really, my coaches, my players, the community at Loyola. I'm from Chicago, but so it just hasn't been the right time. And, I feel like we got some more to do here, a lot more to do here, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to take another job. I do have, you always have aspirations to do things, but it just hasn't been the right time for me.
Well, when you've been that close to Monday night, you figure sometimes those bigger jobs can help you get closer, and you never know. And I understand that, as I've taken 5 jobs in my life, and that's
Yeah.
the way that goes. And so, Porter, as you've gone forward, this particular team you've got, you in Northern Iowa are picked toward the top of the Missouri Valley. You've got a unique young man in Cameron Krutwig, who is a big physical post, but really, he reminds me of the Joker, Jokic.
Yeah.
He is a great passer. How does a guy like that change your playing style? And what have you done different as you've realized his abilities? Because really, he was a big, slow guy. I talked to Fran McCaffrey last week about Luka Garza, but Cameron Krutwig was, there was no physical lift. He was not jumping high. It was not, but he was a physical player, played hard, smart player, vocal player when you watch him on the recruiting trail. And now you see the things that you run schematically. Seems like a lot of Princeton, NBA, EuroLeague kind of things. How have you involved him? How has your scheme changed with him? Tell me, because I believe he's a focal point of that. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
No, for sure, Tim. And it's one of those things as coaches, like his intangibles, like you mentioned, he doesn't have, a lift that he's top of the square or all that stuff. His intangibles are off the charts. How competitive he is. One of the best practice players, comes every day. I've heard something along the way, people who can't have a bad practice are the head coach and your best player. They can't have a bad practice in terms of energy, vocalness. He hasn't had a bad practice in 4 years. He's the loudest guy in practice. And then his passing skills. His first year, we had some really good guards, Clayton Custer, Marcus Towns, Dante Ingram, Ben Richardson. And those guys were leaders. They were running the offense. And then the next years that we lost a couple of those guys, it almost like he was a 0.5, a 5-man who was our point guard. We ran so much through him. He was making reads, talking guys through stuff. And it just evolved, and it was fun, creatively, offensively, to look and come up with stuff and steal stuff from all over, NBA, EuroLeague. I love stealing. It's a great comment, right?
Well, you're not the only one.
But it was fun to just watch stuff going, God, that would be great for Krutwig, that you've never run before. Like, we didn't run a lot of stuff that we're running now with him in my previous years because we just didn't have that kind of guy. And he gives you a lot of weapons, but he's an A+ human being off the floor. That's what's fun. I love coaching him. I love going to battle with him. I love, it's just a tremendous, he'll go down like as probably one of the greatest players who ever played at Loyola. I mean, if we have a normal season, he's 20 wins away from having the most wins ever by a player in the history of Loyola.
I was just going to say, he's got to be one of the winningest players ever. And that says so much right there.
20 wins, he breaks the record for the most wins ever in a 4-year career.
Yeah, Michael Weinstein, right?
How about if he gets 5?
Oh, boy.
He's going to shatter that record.
He was a Weinstein guy, right?
Yeah, he played for Mike.
Yeah.
He played for Mike Weinstein. Mike did a great job with him, and he played at Jacobs High School. He had some really good coaches along the way to help him.
Yeah, Mike has got always a tall, strong, low to the ground, big guy every year on his AU team. I've never seen a guy with more guys cut of the same mold. So luckily he's a Chicagoland guy. So you might have, you might be able to replace Cameron, because I'm sure Mike will find somebody for you. But
yeah, we're hoping.
Yeah, we all do, don't we? Yep. So as you look at this, I look at because we're such close personal friends. And even though you went to Creighton, and
yes, sir.
Yeah, and a guy like Todd Eisner is your friend.
Absolutely.
I forgive you for all that. I just,
forgive me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I went to a Benedictine school up at Mary College in Bismarck. So, Jesuits, we just kind of got to figure you guys out.
Hey, Tim, you're really ingratiating you with the Blue Jay fans even more right now.
Is that possible?
Yeah, the Blue Jay fans right now are saying that they're adding reasons to the list why they love Timmy Miles.
Yeah. Well, they loved me a lot better when I was getting my butt whipped by them. But anyhow, but it seems to me in your learning community, you've grown up and Tony Baroni was who you were with. But the two really groups now that I hear you draw from is the Motley Crew, which is a group of coaches that have befriended each other and huddle up at the Final Four, which I'm lucky enough to be adopted into, and Rick Majerus. And so first I want to talk about your time at St. Louis with Rick Majerus and any great Rick Majerus story you might have that is suitable for public consumption.
You know, that was one of the most amazing times of my life for many reasons. One, I went to St. Louis in one of the darkest professional times of my life. You know,
it just got let go in Illinois State.
Just got let go in Illinois State, and I was bitter. I was harboring, you know, so many feelings that I didn't get a chance to finish. We were trying to turn that program around, and I was just bitter. And I had a chance to go take a job at a very low level in Division I, and my ego was telling me to go take it. You know, like, go prove yourself. Go,
fight your way back.
Yeah, I'm going to be a head coach still. I was just a head coach at 2 different spots. And then Rick Majerus called me. I went down to the Kingwood Classic. Remember Hal Pastor's Kingwood Classic?
Yeah, down in Houston.
And remember, you couldn't go into the gym until 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was like stupid. Like, you're there. All the coaches are there. Why do you got to wait till 5 o'clock to walk?
We had big parking lot parties beforehand. It was
Yes, you did.
You want good gossip?
But so I'm unemployed. So I went in at like noon. I went in early, and I'm getting all the talking thing, and so I was there 2 days, and I flew back, and I remember landing and driving back over to St. Louis, and I get a phone call, and it's like, "Hey Porter, Rick Majerus here," and I'm like, I thought it was like Eisner,
hang up,
like messing with me, because Eisner's got that Wisconsin accent that he tries to get you with. And all of a sudden he started talking. I'm like, there's no way. This is Rick Majerus. The way we talk. So we talked like literally like an hour and a half on the way there. Never met. So he said he was about to take the St. Louis job. And we kind of talked that whole week, and he offered me the job, and with, over the phone, over a series of conversations. And turned out I chose it because I'm like, that's where I'm going to learn the most. And what I can't tell you in 4 years with him being by his side, what I've learned from him. It was unbelievable. He has such an amazing mind. He was so good to me. He really let me coach. Gave me my confidence back. He gave me my confidence back. And then along the way, I just was so ready to do it again. And but you miss him. I got tons of stories. We could do a whole nother podcast, which we've done at the Final Four.
Yeah.
Me and Chris Harriman, Harry, who's part of the Motley Crew, and Matt Gordon Flash, who's on my staff. We'll get in a circle. We'll start spinning Coach Majerus stories, and that thing can go in a different direction. But I will tell you, we and you talk about how we met. All right. I remember in Vegas, how you and I met was, remember how you sit in Vegas like at Durango or something, you're under the basket and you're sitting on those chairs.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you see it's time to go, and some people are on the back wall and you're trying to run by. And I was running, you were under the basket, and I was running by to go to their game, and you go, Porter. And I go, what? He goes, I heard you in St. Louis. I heard you're in the Cancun Challenge. So am I. You were at Colorado State. And I go, yep, we are. And he goes, I need to go to dinner with you and Majerus when we're there. Like, that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to go to dinner with Coach Majerus and I. And that's how and then I ran out the door. And then me and you connected. And then we ended up connecting.
Well, then you and I had dinner. Majerus got sick. And we did have dinner. And I forget who won the championship of that event.
Yeah.
Colorado State did. Yeah.
Colorado State did win the championship.
Yeah.
Very good. You guys had a really good team. You had a bunch of positionless, undersized guys that were really hard. You had a good team.
Yeah, we did. We pressed Larry Eustachy in Southern Miss, and we beat Ole Miss, and App State had a score. It was fun, but we didn't get to square up with St. Louis, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes. As I look back, Rick Majerus, and again, where do you begin and end with the guy? How did he spend offense? How did he spell offense?
I just heard him say it a million times. I don't know if I ever saw him spell it with offense, but he did it. We got so many stories. I mean, one of my favorite ones that I can tell on this podcast. But like, he had a guy named Barry Eberhardt. Barry Eberhardt was a 6'7", very strong power forward that and Rick had an affinity for post players. He wanted Barry to be this guy, Charles Barkley on the block, beating guys up. And Barry wanted to shoot threes all the time.
Yeah.
And Barry wanted to be on the perimeter. And Barry's such a good kid. And so all the time, him and Rick always battled about, Barry, get inside. Barry wanted to be on the perimeter. So we're in one game.
And you guys ran motion, right? So he had options.
Yeah. So Barry gets a rebound or a loose ball, and he gets it like at the other elbow, and all of a sudden Barry starts leading the break. And like I remember, like Harry, Chris, Al Jensen, we're all like leaning back, like, oh god. And so Barry's leading the break, and I can just see Coach Majerus like leaning towards the and Barry's leading the break, comes down, goes behind his back, throws a pass behind his back. It like goes over Kevin Lish's head, goes over the cheerleader's head, and it lands like in the fourth row over there. It just sailed, and it went to a media timeout, and Coach Majerus comes storming on the floor. Barry, you're off the team. You're off. He wasn't telling him to sub out.
Yeah, you're gone.
Team. You're gone.
That was his one shining moment. He blew it.
Barry comes over to the bench, and he's like to Harry and I, he's like, well, what should I do? I'm like, just sit there. You're not off the team.
Okay, yeah, you're going to be gone for a while. Just don't ever do that again.
That's right.
That's awesome. Well, the Motley Crew, which is a group that gets together, I mean, some Philadelphia guys, Dave Pauly, Steve Donahue, Ivy League guys, Mike Martin, John Gallagher at Hartford, right? Group of guys like you wouldn't believe.
David Patrick at Arkansas, Harry, Chris Harriman.
Yeah. Joe Mahalik.
Oh, the Mahaliks, yeah, Joe.
We got some financial guys, Harry and Babs, and we got guys
some commissioners. We got Dan Leibowitz,
who was with head coach at Hartford, assistant at Temple under Don Chaney, assistant with Mike Dunlap in the NBA. Now he's assistant commissioner in the SEC. It's a great mix of guys. It's really a lot of fun. And earlier, folks. CJ Moore did a great piece on the group in The Athletic. Matt Norlander met with Porter and some of the fellas, I think Mike Martin and John Gallagher and maybe Chris Harriman at the Final Four at one point. And so it's a well-known underground group. And
so that like how it started was like we've been friends at different things. It was just kind of some East Coast guys, and it was kind of a hodgepodge. And then we got to the Final Four on Wednesday afternoon, and those coaches were coming in that night, and they're all like, they wanted to meet at my hotel just to have a toast on Wednesday night before it really got crazy.
Yeah,
so they
in
came
San Antonio
over.
At your Final Four run.
Yeah, so they came over. Then he wrote an article, and I think I've talked to you about this before. So that Norlander gave the group Motley Crew because he was looking at it. It was such a hodgepodge group, but I think it was because he saw Gallagher, and Harry dressed to the nines, and then you walk in like bell-bottom sweatpants, and he's like, "What a crew this is! Look at the hodgepodge of Motley Crew."
I think
it was your dress code
either.
that was able to get that because you had some guys that were dressed, so GQ.
I looked like the pirate. That was it was folks. You have to understand the Final Four, if you're not in it, is like spring break for coaches. So it could go a lot of directions. It could go a lot of directions. So,
right.
Porter, tell me about your family. Your wife, Megan, of course, who I've met. We've had dinner. What a doll. What a great woman. Very supportive of you, your children. Talk to us about your family and how all of this has affected them.
So I played for Tony Baroni at Creighton, and then when Tony, Coach B, got the Texas A&M job, that was my first coaching job. And I met my wife in Texas. She's from there. I met her 28 years ago. And, Mrs. Baroni was like the matriarch of our programs at Creighton. And man, she just really was a huge influence on Megan in terms of being a coach's wife. And we have 4 beautiful kids. I have, my daughter was a sophomore on the Loyola team, and I have 3 teenage boys. So, but I tell you, you're not, if I had a coach tell me, if you're in the profession long enough, everybody's been fired. And the thing that you don't understand about when you get fired is your family, how it affects them.
How it affects them, no doubt.
And so to see them go through the journey to the Final Four was really cool with them because you know how that is. Your rock, your family,
redemption,
your wife, they're your rock. They're the ones that are hearing the ups and downs. Sometimes you got as a coach, you put on a front, onto the media and everything, and you get home at night.
Well, really? We don't always tell the media the truth? Are you serious?
But you just feel like, that pressure, and just to have coaches' wives, coaches' kids,
it's hard. I mean, they hear it in school. They're not immune to it. And everybody's like, oh, you get paid this amount of money, blah, 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 blah. I tell you, the heartache is never worth one. any amount of money.
There's no amount of money that have to sit there. I had to tell my daughter I'm no longer the Redbird coach.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hard thing. Or to have them see it on the ticker in the NCAA. You know,
Yeah. Oh,
I got that in my book, Tim. My shameless plug.
Yeah, you got to hold that real still. Yeah. So Porter does have a book called All In, available at Loyola Printing, available on Amazon. You name it. Once again, unfulfilled promise. Some of us were going to get autographed copies.
Who was that?
Well, you said on one of the Zooms you were going to take care of us.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I did?
I think you'd had a glass. You'd had a glass of wine.
Yeah, that was me.
And no, I swear to God. Well, we asked for an autograph copy. Isn't that the same thing as you promised?
Well, you know what? I can see that with that group that they couldn't pay $14 for the book going to a good cause. So I can see that group all wanted free copies. So you're right. True. It probably did happen.
True. So we all wanted a free autograph copy. You kind of you didn't say no. You didn't say no. So I'm still waiting for mine.
Send me your address. Send me your address, Timmy.
Folks, if this happens, all right, I'll buy an extra one and read it aloud some podcast. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Great book. Tells about your journey. An ironic situation is you've got a proverb in there, fall 7, keep getting up.
Fall 7, rise 8.
Yeah. So there's another Chinese proverb, fall 7, get up 8, or rise 8, the same thing. So I used that with my team one time when we were kind of up and down. And my best player, Siobhan Shields, goes up for a layup. Is on defense. And a kid from Rutgers shot fakes, he jumps, and when he steps through, he takes out Siobhan's legs. Siobhan goes, whoop, falls right on his head, out unconscious. Major concussion. We put him on a thing, neck deal, put him on a ambulance. He's in the hospital, misses 5 games. We go 1-4. And I said, I'm never doing the fall 7, get up 8.
Well, I hope you weren't saying that to him as he was getting his neck down. I hope you weren't motivating him above his head or something.
I was worried for it. Get up, get up. No, I was worried for his life. Honestly, it was one of the most haunting moments we've had as a coach. And so I actually did chuckle when I saw fall 7, get up 8, because it just works better for some than others. And that's why you're such a good person. And maybe I'm still working on it.
Well, maybe it's not a literal thing. When a kid falls on his head, you use it. I use it sometimes when something doesn't go my way, or a setback in my life, or a setback with
I used it before. I used it pregame, and then he went down. So it was it was bad karma.
I don't think I used it to a kid who landed on his head. I don't think I've used it.
I didn't either. It just happened after I used it. So anyhow, that's the heck of it. So, but as we go through life and we see these things, I just want to give you a couple things, and then we'll wrap up. All right. Okay. You've been generous with your time. I know you're busy with the team. And we're going to wrap up with a couple more things on your team, but I want a word association. Okay. I'm going to give you a word, and you just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Chicago Cubs.
Oh, happiness. I mean, Wrigley Field's my fun place. The greatest franchise. I love them.
Has anybody sung the 7th inning stretch more than you for the Cubs in the last 10 years? Any local coach?
A lot of the Chicago people. I know Fitz at Northwestern has sang it a bunch. I think Eddie Vedder sings it like every year. Bill Murray sings it every year. So
those are all your buds too now, right? Because you're a big shot.
I wish. How fun would, I have seen Pearl Jam a number of times at Wrigley. That is classic.
So happiness. Okay. St. Louis Cardinals.
Frustration.
Because you whip them in the regular season.
They're such a great franchise, and they've been good for so many years that I want to hate them, and I do. But it's frustration because they just run things the right way. They've been a classy organization. It's just been frustration.
Of course, that's my favorite team, and John Beeline's favorite team, by the way, former Michigan coach. Creighton.
Just memories, the teammates, the friends for life, the winning championships, winning Missouri Valley, going to the NCAA with a group of guys, and just unbelievable time in my life. Memories.
Who was your head coach?
Tony Baroni.
Yeah. Todd Eisner, the head coach of Winona State right now, is a guy we referenced earlier, was at Midland College in Nebraska when I met him when I got down here. Also an assistant at Creighton for a time.
Great coach, great friend.
Yeah, Michigan.
Just anger, because like in Chicagoland, I was just so aware of seeing that M everywhere after we lost, and we had a terrible 7 possession stretch that that they played great. We played awful in that 7-minute stretch that they flipped the lead, and but it was funny. I got a picture and I tweeted it out. If you want to go back, that Halloween after that, and I said this is apropos. The very first Halloween trick or treater I had was a big Michigan emblem, had the big M, and it's everywhere in Chicago. You see the M everywhere. So
yeah.
Probably anger.
And again, that was the semifinal loss where he had a chance to go on and play Villanova, who won the championship that year. And we had played half the teams in that Final Four that year when I was at Nebraska. We lost to Kansas on a last-second deal and split with Michigan. And I noticed you didn't call me for a scouting report on that one, but I don't know.
I think I did, and you didn't give it to me.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's go with that. I would have just said, are you the first coach to wear the sneaker dress shoe in the Final Four? The Cole Haan kind of.
At the Final Four?
Yeah, I think you're the first.
Really?
Boy, I think so. I've been watching for a long time, and I've seen penny loafers and Florsheims, but I don't think I've ever seen the sneaker dress shoe the way you rocked it.
I tell you, my heels, like before when, I guess I was a heel stomper.
Your knees get sore.
But my heels get sore. And then when I went to those, it was a no-brainer, man. I should get some
better shock absorption.
Oh, man. You know how it is on the Coaches versus Cancer Awareness Day when we all get to wear tennis shoes? We're running up and down the sideline, jumping. I mean, our mobility is everywhere. I mean, I always feel great after that game. And I finally said, you know what, I'm going with these.
When I squat too much, my knees get really sore. I'm not a stomper, so you're a stomper. Coaches do some weird shit, right?
I didn't realize I was a stomper. My wife told me one time, and I was like, maybe that's why my heels always sore after the game.
Yeah, got to be heels and hip and all that. I mean, that's not easy on you, guy.
I'm not a whistler to get people's attention. I can't whistle very loud.
Steve Donahue can whistle. I've never.
He's got
can he whistle?
An annoyingly loud whistle.
Yeah, I hate those guys that can whistle.
Yeah,
they do it so easy. They just, and
I can do the one where you put your fingers together, like. See, I can't even do it anymore.
Yeah, you got to tighten up that left hand.
Yeah, but you can't really do that in a game. It's
No, it doesn't. Awkward. So when I was in Dolan, South Dakota, there was 200 people in my town. I was youngest of 5. My parents would go to bed, and I would open my screen at night, and I was on the second floor. I'd climb out on our roof and then shimmy down a tree, get on my bike, and we'd do the to our buddies. And so we'd planned it that night. Hey, 11:30, I'll come get you. So I'd go get Terry and go get Tony, and then we'd raise hell till about 1 a.m. and then head back home, climb up the tree, right in the screen, and like, Mom.
That was more of a yodel than a whistle right there, though. I mean, you yodeled. I mean, I whistled. You got to create the whistle.
It was not my best. It was not.
Yeah, that's.
Can't do it. We may edit this out, folks.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Porter, continuing with word association.
All right.
COVID-19.
I heard a great word related that from Joe Girardi. I just did a Zoom with him. Patience.
Yeah, good point.
You got to really talk to your team. He said about patience. You can't do what you want to normally do now. You got to be thinking of the end result. You got to have patience with all this because it's frustrating. You don't socially, all these things. We got to have patience. We'll get there someday, but you got to have patience. And that word comes after a number of other words that I've experienced over the last 6-7 months.
We've all used those words.
Frustration, all that. But the new word that I just heard from Joe was patience, and like how he talked to his team. This is our end goal. We want to get here. We want to play the season. We want to do things and be healthy and safe. We got to have patience to go through what we're going through right now. The social distancing, the mask, everything. We got to have patience. I thought that was a pretty good way of looking at it.
And that's going to continue through the season. I mean, you're going to have ups and downs and hiccups and starts and stops probably, and the same thing is going to apply. Porter, I tell you, you're a great guest. I appreciate you being on the greatest podcast of all time, Inside the Mind of Miles. There's you'll never be on a better one.
See, Tim, that's why
How does it make you feel?
It's good. No, it makes you feel great, Tim. That's what people just enjoy you and like you so much, because you're authentic and you're high energy and you're fun and you coach that. You've always been you. I told someone today that I was doing a podcast with you, and they're like, man, Tim's authentic. He is his own person, and you've never changed. And you just got a great energy about yourself, Tim.
Well, thank you. And I've hired a few Porter assistants over the years because the guys you get from Porter Moser are organized, high-level recruiters, great energy guys, really know how to coach. And Porter, you know, when I first got to know you, I thought you were a great recruiter and just hadn't paid attention enough to your ability to coach, because when you're at Little Rock, I just didn't see you very much. And then Illinois State, I was just breaking into Division I. But watching your Loyola teams, how well they execute offensively and defensively, you are one of the best tacticians in the country. Congratulations. Keep it up. I'm really happy you've been on the show. Best of luck with this year's team. Looks like a big fight. Northern Iowa's got a good club.
Really good. Really. AJ Green's the best player the country doesn't know about. I tried to recruit the crap out of him. And Kyle Green, of course, the assistant at UNI, I'm like, you don't want to play for your dad. Why would you play for him? And now, what's with these coaches? Now Darren DeVries' kid's going to go play for him. He's like really good too.
No, I know.
McDermott's son played for him in the Valley.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he was signed at Northern Iowa already.
Yeah, sure did.
You know, and because Ben Jacobson was his godfather. But, you know, maybe your kids will perk up. Maybe my kids will perk up, and we'll be okay.
I'm about to go do when Tucker DeVries committed to Drake, I had my boys in the driveway.
Come on, kids. Hold the follow through.
Hold the follow through.
Yeah. We're out here till midnight, okay?
Right.
I don't care what your mom says.
That's right. You got to switch that last shot from the corner.
Yeah, in the driveway, in the dark with the wind blowing in Chicago. Porter, thanks for coming on. We love you. Good luck this season. Tell Sister Jean I love her, and I appreciate her forgiveness.
You got it, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's our time with Porter Moser, Loyola of Chicago. He's a great guy, and you can see why he's such an easy interview.
Coach, we got two high-energy guys there. I mean, and we've always talked about how they get so fired up and riled up. There's got to be times in your career. I know you've only been ejected once, but you got to be able to tell us a couple times.
Was it my fault?
Couple times. One of those stories.
We've had some interactions with referees over the days, and there's a lot of them that are really funny. You know, the refs are trying to do their best, and they know the coaches are all wound up. I remember Ed Hightower. I yelled at him, "You're so big time, Ed Hightower." He just got done doing like 8 Final Fours in a row. He teed me up, and it was 43 seconds into the game. I mean, he whacked me right away. And we actually got to be good friends after that. I remember another ref telling me one time, he says, I said, you know, last time we played Michigan, you called that same crap, blah, blah, blah. I'm not taking, we're playing like Purdue or somebody. I'm not taking this. He goes, Coach, don't major in history. They're all dead. And he just ran away. But one of my favorites, I have to tell you, was Scott Thornley. I was in the Mountain West at Colorado State. Scott Thornley was a longtime official, very good official. And he all we had to do was beat TCU. You remember that last year to make we knew we were in as an at-large if we beat TCU. And we beat them. And then we ended up losing a really good game in the semis, I think, to San Diego State. But Thornley, toward the end of the game, we're up like 13 points. There's a couple minutes left, and it's pretty apparent we're going to win. And I'm on Eric Curry's butt like crazy. Eric's a Minneapolis guy, and it looks like, you know, Bill Clinton out there. And so I'm on Curry pretty good. And Thornley and Eric turns over like to give me the business. Hey, that's enough. And all of a sudden I hear Thornley come from the baseline because they're right in front of us. No, I've got this. Okay. Now I've been there 5 years with these Mountain West guys, and I'm just lit the whole time. And he says, technical foul on the bench at Colorado State, head coach. And I said, what? What was that for? And I just walked right into it. He goes, Timmy, it's my last game, and that's 5 years of accumulating bullshit. You want any more? You've accumulated bullshit for 5 years, So what do? It was a pretty good line. I think it was a good way for him to go out. It was his little swan song, take a bow moment. And, I have respect for that. He's right. I was on their case for a long time. This is a chance for him to go out with a bang. So he banged. So, yeah, those things happen, Greg.
Well, you and I have different memory of that instance because I remember looking when that happened and you staring him down before he told you that, looking at Craig Smith and Nico Medved, who are now at Utah State and Colorado State, and saying, I swear to God, if that just cost us, I'm going to kill the guy tonight.
I know. The game was not over, but we managed. We managed, and those are the days, and those are some of the fun stuff. And Greg, I appreciate you joining us today. Inside the Mind of Miles. We'll see you next week. We've got a great show coming up. Again, I think you're going to enjoy the coaches' interviews. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up in the future, and stick with us, and this will be a lot of fun as we grow and develop over the course of time. Greg, thanks for joining us as my right-hand man. Or are you on my left side or right side? I can't tell on the Zoom.
I think I'm on your right.
Okay, there you go. See, he's my right-hand man. And I appreciate you being on, and until next week, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. I hope everybody had a good vote, and I hope this thing gets settled soon.